Well, hello everyone. This is Jason Zaidema from ICMA, the International Christian Maritime Association. This is another in our series of interviews on the coronavirus and seafarers' welfare. And today the focus is on seafarers' welfare provision in Africa. So I'm very happy to be joined by Reverend Cedric Rautenbach in Durban, South Africa, who is the Africa Regional Director for the Mission to Seafarers. And also Father Celestin Ikomba, chaplain in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, and West Africa Regional Director for Stella Maris, or the Apostleship of the Sea. So welcome to you both.
Thank you very much.
Oh, welcome, Jason. Welcome, Cedric. Thank you very much.
So a few questions in the short interview. First, if I can start with Father Celestin and then asking Reverend Cedric, can you describe for us the regions that you that you are directors of? First, Father Celestin, what's the West Africa region for Stella Maris?
Thank you very much. I'm Father Celestin. Je suis le Père Celestin, regional coordinator of the Apostleship of the Sea from Casablanca until the Democratic Republic of the Congo, depuis le Maroc jusqu'en République démocratique du Congo, around 36 ports, 18 countries, 36 ports environ et 18 pays que nous couvrons. Voici la région. Et our region is Atlantic Africa, Atlantic, but our ocean, so it's Ocean Atlantic. So let me, because I moved from French to English so people can understand when they see on the TV or the YouTube. Thank you very much. This is our region from Morocco until the Democratic Republic of the Congo, depuis le Maroc jusqu'à la République démocratique du Congo. This is our region. You have the port of Casablanca, you have the port of Dakar, the port of Abidjan, the port of Tema, the port of Lomé, Cotonou, Apapa, all the port in Nigeria, the port in Douala, also Libreville, Congo Pointe-Noire, Kinshasa, also we have Matadi. There are around 36 ports, 18 countries. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup aussi. And turning to Cedric, can you tell us a bit about your the network that you're the regional director of?
Sure, thanks, Jason. Yeah, so I help coordinate East Africa. We have two ports there, Mombasa and Dar es Salaam. And then down to Southern Africa, Richards Bay, Durban, Port Elizabeth, Saldanha Bay, Cape Town, and then Namibia, Walvis Bay, and then up to West Africa, Lagos, and then Monrovia. So that's the area that I am responsible for.
And so if I could ask the second question, this time I'll start with Reverend Cedric. Cedric, can you tell us what are the impacts of coronavirus, perhaps where you are locally, but especially in your region?
So at present in South Africa, we are under complete lockdown. So everybody has to stay at home. We aren't allowed to move from our houses. So that obviously means that chaplains can't actually get out. We're not considered essential service or part of the essential service, so we can't travel. The ports are also basically closed, and so that means that we couldn't move around anyway, even if we were allowed outside our houses. So lockdown in South Africa. We're hoping by next week we will move to a different level, which means we'll be allowed some freedom, but we still don't think ports will be open. A lot of ports have just have a few berths open for essential services, so they're letting 2 or 3 ships in at a time. And literally, they come in, they offload cargo or onload cargo, and they leave. For instance, in Port Elizabeth, which is a big container vessel port, they don't even lower the gangway. So the containers are taken off or new ones put on and the ship sails. In West Africa, similarly, in Monrovia, they just had the lockdown. In Lagos, just curtailed movement there, so aren't allowed in the port, and then the same in East Africa. So it has impacted our work in a big way in that we cannot get onto ships, we cannot get into ports, and we can't ship visit at present.
Thank you for that. Father Celestin, can you tell us a bit about how the coronavirus is impacting the work in your region?
Yes, truly in our region, as I said, our region is very large, and I sent a message to all our chaplains to know what was the situation in their ports. But I know that I got just not a lot of answers, but Ghana told me how the situation is there. And also Cotonou wrote to me, and Congo also, they wrote to me. And also Morocco told me how the situation is. But perhaps I will focus more on what is happening here in Abidjan. Or it's that, in Ivory Coast for the moment, until today, the moment I'm speaking, we have 1,004 cases. 1,004 cases and 359 healed people, 14 deaths. The epicenter of the coronavirus normally is in Abidjan. We have 640 cases. We have a lot of measures, some from the government, some from the church, some from the port. But I can say that the port is open. The port is open, and they have some measures. They allowed those users who have interest card to enter the port. For instance, myself, I am allowed to enter the port, but it is forbidden for the seafarers to leave the ship for offshore, because the port focus on the protection of the seafarers. They want to protect the seafarers. And also we have measures like when a ship is coming to Abidjan, the consignor of the ship agent have to declare 2 weeks before the last port where the ship passed through. And apart that, when they come, they cannot come directly to the port. So we have a lot of measures. For instance, myself this morning, I went to the harbor master to talk to the ship agents about the situation and to encourage them. I think that in the port of Abidjan, the port is open. The port is open, and but you have to wear as a compulsory the masks when you go in the port. The situation is well controlled, and we congratulate the port authority for the moment. And we go there for the future. But we will say thank you very much.
So in the coming weeks and the coming months, what are the strategies that both of you have in place to see how to do things? What sort of services can you still provide? What do you hope you will be able to provide if the situation improves in some way? Starting with Father Celestin, what are the services that you still can provide, and what do you hope perhaps in the coming weeks or months you will be able to provide if the situation improves?
Yes, okay. For the moment, we started with Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi for seafarers. Free Wi-Fi for seafarers. And what we did is like that. This is the tool we use. We use this, and this is the box. And I take the box to the port, as we cannot board the port for the moment. We are on the berth, and we ask to the seafarers if they have a need for communication. We give them our code freely, and from that they can communicate. And this morning I went to the port myself to present the service. You can see, as you can see, look at, you can see Wi-Fi. You can see this is, you see Wi-Fi. So when people go in the port, they see them, they have the Wi-Fi, and you can see also on the back, You see the back also is Wi-Fi also. This is what we want to be to help the seafarers, because communication is very important. We are doing it for the moment, but we want to improve it. Very important. I have presented to this morning to the harbor master and to the ship agents, so they can understand. This is the way we are going to do also. The one thing we are going to do also is that we link with the seafarers through the Stella Maris Facebook we have. To link with them, because every day we have mass. Sometimes I have some COVID course English, words in English and words in French. So when the seafarers come in the ports, so they can communicate in French and English, so people can understand. Sneeze. To say like things like that. This is the service we are thinking about, but more communication, and we don't know, because we are very allowed to enter the port, but we need to find this way with Wi-Fi, to offer Wi-Fi to the seafarers. For the moment, we have just one unit. We use it and we go around the port. We offer the port. We have a lot of ships coming for the moment. We have a lot of ships, but it is working very good. But we need to improve it and to bring more that in the future. This is what we can do if things cannot move. As a service, we can offer.
And thank you for that. I think the visual of your Wi-Fi and your shirt is wonderful in this conversation. Cedric, if you could tell us what are your what services might still be able to be offered? How might those improve in the coming weeks or months?
So we've actually really been focusing on digital chaplaincy, because we cannot get into the ports. And so what we're encouraging our our chaplains to do is, many of them have built up contact lists over the years. As they interact with seafarers, they exchange information, they exchange telephone numbers, sometimes they exchange email addresses. And so what we've tried to do is to encourage them to communicate almost on a one-on-one basis with those seafarers who they have contact with. And then we also looked, like I yesterday looked at the African Facebook page. So again, each center looking at their Facebook page to see who has interacted with them, and then followed that up and contacted the seafarers and saying, how are you doing? Where are you? Do you need any help? Can we help you in any way? And then, of course, we're also part of the Chat to Chaplain, which is an ICMA program and a Mission to Seafarers program, where we have 3 chaplains in the region that are part of that network. And that program enables seafarers to actually have a one-on-one conversation with a chaplain wherever they are around the world. So that's really been our focus, is on digital chaplaincy, on trying to connect to seafarers in that way. And then obviously, if we're allowed, if there is some need and we can reach out in some way, we will do that. But at present, because there's lockdown in the ports, we often, it is merely the conversational type help. And sometimes I think that's, as we know in our work, that's what seafarers want. They want to know they're not alone. They want to know that somebody's praying for them. They want to know that, that somebody out there is thinking about them. So just to have that, that conversation. And so that's been our focus over the last week or two, and will probably be our focus moving forward until the ports start to open. What we do see is perhaps what's been happening in Europe, that as the ports open slowly, so we will, and we're allowed access, we will do gangway visits. So at least just getting to the gangway, interacting with seafarers, and then obviously as the protocols are relaxed, hopefully getting back onto ships. But the reality is, specifically in South Africa, we think that that's going to be a couple of months away. And so our focus has been on trying to get decent digital chaplaincy platforms up and working in the next couple of weeks to months.
Well, Reverend Cedric Rautenbach and Father Celestin Ikomba, thank you so much for your time on this call. Short message, but I'm so happy to be able to speak with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this time. Appreciate it.